5-day wait period. So right now I am in the middle of my 5-day wait period before the transfer of the eggs, the fertilized eggs, to go and transfer back into me, which is Saturday. Today is Thursday. So I have 2 more days. So what happened was, because I get a lot of questions about this whole process, it's really, really confusing unless you're going through it. And I still ask questions all the time with my doctor because I still don't get it all either, other than what I read on the internet, and we all know how the internet goes. So this is just my experience with IVF. So we're going to explain from the beginning to where we are now and then what happens next. So what we did was, this is my actual 4th round of IVF. The first 2 were canceled mid injections or stimulating drugs, and the first one we did make it to egg retrieval, but the eggs didn't make it. The one fertilized abnormally and the other one never fertilized, so we never made it to transfer. So this is the farthest we have gone. I've been doing this since July of 2016, and it is now March of 2017. So I have taken months off in between. This is the first one I did back to back, and we totally changed the whole protocol around. So if you're going through IVF and it's your first round, here's the thing: every round they will change your protocol. So some of it's trial and error with the meds and how your body reacts to the meds and where your hormones level are naturally, and a lot of it has to do with your age. I'm older, so it's just trial and error right now and trying to get those good quality eggs up. So we did stims for 2 weeks, and we made it to egg retrieval. The egg retrieval process, they put you out. So you're under anesthesia. It's a 15-minute procedure, and you're out of the office within 45 minutes. And then you are basically on the couch for a day and a half because you are a little uncomfortable after that. The following day, the doctor called me and I almost cried. The phone rang and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to answer the phone after our last egg retrieval, but I picked it up, and my doctors are wonderful, and you could tell on his voice how happy he was. So we got 3 eggs, and they let you know before you leave how many eggs they actually retrieved. So we were actually retrieved 3 eggs during this whole process. The first time we only retrieved 2, and when they retrieved them, the doctor, you could kind of tell, had a feeling that nothing was going to become of them. When they did this egg retrieval, I had the same doctor do the egg retrieval, and when I came out of it, she was super excited about the 3 that came out. So I knew that there was something different with this time than it was to the first time. So when the doctor called the following day, they call you within 24 hours to let you know how the eggs have fertilized. So I was really nervous about that phone call. I got the phone call and he was super excited that we had 2 that actually fertilized at good quality. So they actually grade the quality through a microscope of your eggs. And for my age, that's really good. So I'm trying to focus on the positives of everything. And I had 1 that fertilized abnormally, which they expect when they get a whole bunch of eggs. So even if you're younger and you get a whole bunch of eggs, because usually somebody with a normal cycle that's younger than 30 or around 30s, they can get up to 20, 25 eggs at a time. And usually not all of them will fertilize correctly. So that's common. So we had 2 that fertilized correctly. They are doing a 5-day transfer. Now, if you've never done IVF or know nothing about IVF, the old protocol was a 3-day transfer. So you waited 3 days and they transferred them back in. Now they're doing more 5-day protocols, because what that does is it lets, I don't know the technical term for it, but it lets it become more of an embryo before they implant. So it's right before it hatches, before it would actually implant into the woman. And I know I'm getting really technical. So they wanted to go to 5-day. Plus that weeds out any abnormalities that may come up in the eggs. So they may not even make it to day 5. So fingers crossed if they do. I still have like a day and a half to wait. Doctor told me that he thought everything looked good, that they would all make them to day 5, and they'll transfer both of those back into me. So what happens after that? Okay, so once we get through day 5, so once I get through these nerve-wracking days and we go to the transfer, it does not guarantee that I'll be pregnant. IVF works with a woman's natural cycle to get pregnant, so I still have that 2-week wait period, and then we have to go in for blood testing to see if I'm pregnant. So there is a chance that I may not get pregnant, even though everything else looks good. So this is the nerve-wracking thing about IVF and knowing what's going on. But here's the wonderful thing about me going through this. If I do get pregnant, I get to see the whole process from the beginning, and I find that really fascinating. So I am going up and down with my emotions in this process. But I love being able to see everything that's going on with my body, and that actually kind of fascinates me. Sometimes I wish or wonder why I never became a doctor, but I can't handle certain things that doctors can handle. But the process is really interesting. So we have a 2-week wait period where then we go back into the office. We do a blood test to see if I'm pregnant. They discourage you not to do a home pregnancy test, but you know what? I probably will end up doing one anyway. But they discourage you not to do that because you can get false positives from all of the hormones that you've been on. So your hormones will play like real tricks with that home pregnancy test. But still, I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait a whole 2 weeks. So we're going to try. So then after those 2 weeks, we have to get tested again a couple days later to make sure that my levels are going up the way that they're supposed to, the way that your HCG levels are supposed to when you're pregnant. And then a week from the actual original blood test, we go in for an ultrasound. So once they deem that I'm pregnant, we go in for another ultrasound. So this is kind of the cool thing. We get to go in the ultrasound for when these guys are like little embryos, and we get to see them before they're actually really even grown. And you notice how I'm saying we? I mean, me and my husband have all been like, oh, the babies. So they are implanting 2 back into me. And so I don't know if we're just assuming that if it works, we're going to have both of them and have twins, but it's just one of those things that we say. So we get to find out how many actually implanted. So that's kind of cool. And then we got another 2 weeks. And then we go back in for another ultrasound to establish heartbeat and establish that it is a true pregnancy. So by the time I get done with this whole IVF thing and the whole round of everything, and they have to actually establish pregnancy before I'm actually released to my regular OB. So here's the thing. Anybody who's considering IVF, read about it. Before I got into doing all this, I read all the statistics about my age and the setbacks and stuff, and the percentage rate that, it's really, really low at my age. I am actually going to be 45 in July, so I'll give you my age, that we only had a 2 to 5% chance of even getting this far. So I am looking at the positives of everything, and that's the one reason. One of the things that I do like about the place that I go to is they focus on the positive. Here's the other thing about if you're a researcher for IVF clinics too, because a lot of them, to keep certain credentials, they'll deny you because they need to have these live birth rates up. And that just gets where it's confusing. So where I go, they do have these credentials, but I've been dealing with them since I was 37. So here's the thing. I know with working with them, if they didn't think there was a chance of me getting pregnant, we wouldn't have gone this far. They would have told me to do donor eggs, even though they suggested that and knew that if I had donor eggs, I would get pregnant right away, because everything else is right where it's supposed to be. But me and my husband can't afford to do the donor egg thing. And we wanted to really see, or we really want, if we do get pregnant, to be both my egg and his sperm. And I know that's kind of weird, but that's just how I feel about it right now. And we've also decided that if things don't work out, because if this round doesn't work out, I'm only doing one more. So I had already established all this before I got into it. The pros, the cons, the ups, the downs, and how far I was going to go with it. So if this round doesn't work, we're going to do one more round. And then after that, we're looking into either fostering or adopting. And that's just the way that we want to do it. So we do have a backup plan if things don't happen. But I just wanted you guys to, so I can answer some questions from people that have been asking me questions, reaching out to me. So that's the 5-day wait. We have a 2-week wait after that, and then another, I think it's April 1st, we go in for the actual first ultrasound. So that's what, 4 weeks? 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We'll find out if there's an actual pregnancy. But there is still chance of miscarriage or anything else that can come with complications with being pregnant. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.